eat to live or live to eat. Now, I've hosted a food show for about 10 years. I've written a food column for about 20 years. And in these 30 years, I have put on about 40 kilos just doing that. How have I done that? I put the complete blame on my family. If I was to ask any of you over here, what is the first memory of yours as a child? Some people will say, I remember this party that we went to, birthday party, my second birthday party. Some of you all will say that it was a family member who came and shouted at me. Somebody say, I remember my father hitting me, or a holiday that we went on. My first memory as a child, and it amazes me that I actually remember this. I must have been hardly a year and a half or 2 years old. We lived right here at Dadar at Vikaswadi. And I have this distinct memory of sitting on the platform of the kitchen, which was right alongside a window. My mother would be there with me. My father, who worked on board a ship, would be in short pants. Would be walking down. We are on the second floor. We are saying bye to him because he's leaving in the morning. And I'm eating a boiled potato with butter on it. It's a taste that has not left me. And I know this as a fact because we left Dadar when I was 2 years old. So this memory has to be when I was much younger than that. So I blame my mother for that and the rest of my family for this obsession of food that I have, which I'm going to share with you, which I want to call my happy journey with food. If you look at people in my family, my grandfather, from both sides, they were both passionate about food. In fact, many years after he passed away, I found a book, a handwritten book by my grandfather, which had only recipes in it. We normally don't expect this to come out of our grandfather's library. We expect it to come from our grandmother's or our mother's collection. But here he had copiously written recipes. Recipes from my community, which is, I'm a Pathare Prabhu, which is a community in Mumbai. Recipes from Western cuisine, recipes of game, which is venison and pork and all kind of other meats. And I'm going through this book, and I start remembering what he used to do at home. My grandmother was a great cook. She also was obsessed by cooking, but she cooked what she grew up learning how to cook. But my grandfather would sit next to her with a book in his hand and give her instructions. Do this. Why don't we try that? I remember one day I woke up in the house and the whole house was full of smoke. And when I mean smoke, it's smoke. And I must have been 8 or 9 years old, and I went running into the kitchen to see what the hell was happening. And I realized that my grandfather had found a recipe for smoked fish. Now, in a Maharashtrian house, nobody makes smoked fish. So he'd got a sigdi. He had actually gone and made a metallic ring which could turn around like this. My grandmother had put fish on top of it, and he had gone down and got hay, dry hay, and he had put it into this segdi, and the whole room was full of smoke. But I must say, the fish that came out of it finally turned out to be spectacular. Then there was a recipe for stuffed crabs, which even till today I make, and I make it out of memory. It's a recipe which is neither Indian nor continental. It was a recipe that he had created out of his own head because it had white sauce in it, yet it had garam masala in it, and there was onion in it, and there was green chili in it. But the one legacy he gave us was a legacy of eating out every weekend. We as a family went out every weekend for a meal. in those days, in the 70s, Bombay, as it was called, especially the whole Churchgate strip, and I'm sure that a lot of people are my age over here who will remember the Churchgate strip, which starts from what is now called Pizza by the Bay or something. Used to be a restaurant called Talk of the Town. And it went all the way to Berries and Gaylords and Gourdon. And all these restaurants had one, great food, which was always a continental menu and a Punjabi menu. Punjabi, by Punjabi I mean butter chicken and chole bhature and all that. And by continental I mean chicken a la Kiev, which was an unbelievable dish, and very few people make it today. It's a deep fried ball of chicken, which when you cut, bursts open with butter. Just butter just flows out of this chicken. And when I used to do the food show, I had a chef who cooked it, and I realized how that butter flows out. What you do is, you take a whole breast of chicken, and you take a solid frozen chunk of butter like this, wrap it up, put it in breadcrumbs, and deep fry the whole thing. So the butter melts and it comes out like a bomb. So there were two things that happened to us when we were children. One was all this wonderful food that we ate, and two is that we danced, because all these restaurants had dance floors and jazz bands. But for a child of 10 and 11, it's a very bad habit to learn to eat out so often, because you can only do it when your parents are with you, because you cannot afford to go out and eat in these restaurants. Also, for what it's worth, all these restaurants on Churchgate and in Flora Fountain were fairly expensive restaurants. So I grew passionate about eating out, but could not afford to eat out. So I decided, is there any way I can make any of this food that I'm eating outside the house, inside the house? My favorite dish of all time then and even today remains, I know it sounds very boring, but is butter chicken. I just love butter chicken. And I love it in every variety that is available in Mumbai. There is an orange color butter chicken, there's a red color butter chicken, there's a brown color butter chicken, there's a yellow color butter chicken. But they're all butter chickens, they're all tomato-based gravy, and they're all wonderful. I found, I found a book written by a lady called Balbir Singh. It was a British publication, and it was cooking butter chicken for an English audience, which means it was a simple recipe. There were only 4 steps, and as a 12-year-old child, I tried it out, and it turned out quite nice. My grandfather liked it, which is quite a feat. And that was my first step towards getting obsessed with food. I won't say I became into a chef, but it grew an obsession about food in me. So I thought, since I was very, very bad at studies, a good career for me would be F&B. But F&B, or going to the Indian Hotel Management Institute at Dadar, or the Dadar Catering College, required you to pass your 12th standard. And with great trouble, going through 11th and 12th, I failed my 12th once, so I appeared for my 12th again, and I failed my 12th again. And there was no way, my career was ruined. I had no chance of going to anything remotely close to catering. So I opted for my next talent that I had, which was a small talent which I built on, which was art. So I joined the JJ School of Art and became a commercial artist, or applied art as it's called. My strongest memories of JJ School of Art is not what happened in college, but what happened outside college. We had a canteen, and I realized what misal is. A Maharashtrian boy, unfortunately growing up in South Mumbai, had never eaten misal in his life before. I discovered misal. I discovered batata vadas. Right across the road, near Hajj House, in Palton Road police station, was the police canteen, which made the best keema pav. There was Gulshan Iran, which made great Burg Musallam. If you went towards this side, there was Cafe Empire, which did great Parsi food. So my college years, 5 years in JJ, was spent just eating food. It was, and I was wondering how I'm going to balance out a career of advertising and eating food. But I was lucky because the advertising agency that I joined was an agency which was heavily involved in theatre. I had already started writing by then, and I was already doing plays, mostly funny roles because somebody thought I looked funny, so cast him in roles where he can pull faces and be funny. And I was doing that. And the Times of India asked me to write a humor column, which I did quite happily, and I thought I was quite successful at it for 3 years. And then the editor changed, and the new editor said, would you like to write a column on food? Because we have no space for humor anymore. So I just wanted to write. So I said, yes, I'll write on food. But I have no background on food. So I started writing purely out of my own memory, out of my own obsession, out of my own passion, and out of whatever knowledge that I had acquired. By now, I must have been about 22, 23, in my 22 years of life. And I was very happy doing it. So I brought a certain irreverence to the column. I did it without any research. It was from the heart, it was casual, and it was borderline funny. By which time, I decided to quit advertising. I just got bored. And a channel was opening up at that point of time, which is today, which then further got known for other reasons. But the channel was called Times Now. And you can laugh. Times Now was doing what they call weekend programming. They wanted somebody to do a food show. And they found me, already associated with the Times, who's writing on food and who's comfortable on stage and in front of camera. And that was the greatest thing that happened to me in my life. My food show started, and I got paid to do what I like the most. What it also gave me was a chance to travel all over the country, to places that I would never go to if I was left on my own. I mean, come on, how many people get up and say, today I want to go to Bhubaneswar? Nobody says that. People are saying, I want to go to Singapore, I want to go to Hong Kong, London, I want to go here and there, or Delhi, Agra. But Bhubaneswar? Nobody wants to go to Bhubaneswar. Or to Cherrapunji. I want to go to Cherrapunji, but I did. And the greatest food I discovered was Indian food in India. Cherrapunji, I'll talk about Cherrapunji. We're driving up Cherrapunji. It's raining. You know, Cherrapunji used to hold the record for the largest rainfall in the world. And there was an old lady over there cooking some chicken it was. An old lady, no teeth, really old. And we were very hungry. We stopped and we tasted her chicken, and it was just unbelievable. With rice, with just steamed rice. And we asked her, iska kya naam hai? Ye kya hai chicken? So she looks at me and says, Chera chicken. What is Chera chicken? So we said, let's shoot her. Let's get her recipe. And we shot her. You will not believe this, the simplicity of Indian food. 4 ingredients: mustard oil, onion, garlic, black pepper. That's it. Simply made. The most unbelievable chicken. Goa, if you go to the older parts of Goa, what they call the Bigfoot or the heritage parts, we discovered a bakery run by a family who make angel biscuits. They make puff pastry. They make patties. They make jam tarts. Better than any patisserie that you can. And today, patisseries are huge. You know, everybody's making macaroons and all kinds of things. But lovely angel biscuits with sugar on them. Sauji food in Nagpur. You look at the wealth this country has with food. Sauji food in Nagpur. We found a housewife to cook us Sauji mutton. Her house turned out to be a room which was not bigger than this circle that I'm standing on. So she said, we'll cook on the road. I said, okay, let's cook on the road. She took all her kadhai and her stove and put it on the road. Cars whizzing past us everywhere. And she's just throwing masalas inside. Oil, onion, garlic, mutton, black masala, ta ta ta. And the most amazing, spicy, eye-watering, nose-watering, ear-watering Sauji mutton. Ah. And this is the wealth of Indian food. The question is, so did I eat to live or live to eat? What I think I did is I pursued happiness through food. Nowadays we say this is not good for you, don't eat deep fried, avoid your carbs. Can you resist a Punjabi samosa? Come on, tell me. Even the worst Punjabi samosa, the minute I see it, I want to eat it. Can you resist hot bread that comes out of a bakery and you eat with butter, salted butter? No, you can't. I, 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 I just love varan, bhat, toop, not without toop, and if you're lucky with some prawn pickle on the side, you know. So, what is the point of this story I'm trying to make? The point for me is that food is the one thing that stitched my whole life together. My best friends are with me because of food. I eat with them, we make merry with them, and there used to be an old advertising campaign which I found fascinating. I will not name the brand, but the tagline was food, friends, and dash. But it's food, friends, and whatever. So my friends came from food, my career came from food, my money came from food, my life revolves around food. It's given me a passion to express myself through. It's found me my best friends, as I said. It's a bond with my family because my family also loves eating food. Food makes me happy. And if you are happy, everything they say is all right. Thank you very much.